Okay. So you said the vouchers was going to be just part of the money that they'll be used if the millage is granted. Or is the other part going to be providing homes for homeless, or
Well, none of these. This isn't permanent housing.
okay, not permanent?
We're not just buying people houses. You know, it's
Right.
the plan is, and it's more than just paying people rent too.
Yeah.
It's part of that administrative cost is hiring caseworkers to make sure that these folks are meeting guidelines along the way that are required.
Can you state some of the guidelines, or?
I can give you a real cursory. I'm not a social worker. I
Right.
know that there are guidelines they have in place. Like they all have to complete I think it's called a permanent housing stability plan. Basically, they have to sit down with a caseworker and come up with a written plan for how they're going to get a job and move towards self-sufficiency to where they can pay for their own housing.
Okay.
So it's not just some kind of handout
Free.
nanny state. Yeah, it's. I mean, the basis of the program is the end goal is for these folks who are homeless right now not to live in shelters and never advance anywhere.
Okay.
It's to make them active parts, help them to become active parts of society, put them in a position where you can get a job and a car. If you're homeless, you're not getting hired, even at McDonald's. You have to have a return address to put on your job application. So you have to have that first step of having a home address to where you can work towards maybe paying off whatever debt got you into the homelessness situation, get a car, move towards getting a job. And that takes time, and it takes the guidance of these specially trained caseworkers.
Well, with that stability plan, is there any kind of job program that they would be placed into, like Michigan Works, something like that?
I'm sure they utilize Michigan Works and any number of employment agencies in the area. I don't think I can't speak to the specifics of the plan.
Okay.
I'm not on that end of it, but I guess what I can tell you is this would be a good question to ask the Public Housing Commission, and I can give you their contact information. If you want to talk to David Artley, is the guy's name, who does a lot of this administrative work on the back end for them, to give you a better idea of what basically what is asked of these people. But I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that
There's guidelines.
it's not no strings attached.
Right.
We're not just handing out money.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's to get them on their own feet. It's not.
Yeah.
We're gonna be paying your rent forever.
It's a hand up, not a handout.
Right.
Now, as far as the residence is concerned, I mean, define a home. Is it like, what are we talking, apartments?
Just some of them are apartments. There are some properties that have been purchased by the Public Housing Commission.
Previously.
Right, over the last 4 years
Okay.
have been purchased already. There's one over on Elm Street. I think they've got some over on Oakland, and people can stay there. And then the other, not all 100 families they've got in housing right now can stay in the house that they own. So they do provide vouchers for rented apartments or whatever.
Right.
And these folks aren't living at the country club.
Right.
No.
We're not paying for people to, what's the term, welfare queens driving around in Cadillacs. Like that's the vision I think some voters have in their minds when they think about this issue. And it's just not the case. Folks, we're just helping folks get along.
So we're talking foreclosed homes or foreclosed apartments, something like that.
In many cases.
In many cases.
Not all. Just.
Well, I mean, I can't.
Get into
That's a little general,
yeah.
but
Yeah. Okay.
Anything you want to add?
I think it's so who proposed this idea in the first place? This was like over time. This started in. Can you state that one more time?
In 2007, whose idea was it?
Yeah, like what proposed this issue, or what proposed like the idea of getting like the homeless like helping out. Or you're not sure.
I don't know. I wasn't here in 2007. I don't know that part of the history in terms of like what organization sparked it. I know a lot of the.
Was it like an issue of too many people in homeless shelters, or was it too many people on the streets that sparked the influence, or?
I think it's. I mean, there's a need here.
Yeah.
Part of. I can't say that. I'm sorry. A lot of the movement came from the faith-based community. There's a number of churches, and sorry, I shouldn't limit it to churches, but religious organizations in Kalamazoo that believe that they have a social responsibility to care for those who are homeless and who don't. So I think you started hearing a lot of loud, their voice being heard, and applying pressure to elected officials and the residents of Kalamazoo. And after a while, they started getting listened to. So people look around. You can see guys walking on the street,
Right.
homeless. You know it's a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't know it's a problem if you spend all your time in Richland, but if you spend time in Kalamazoo, and that's nothing against Richland, but people who are in need of help come to the city because that's where the social services are.
Right.
So in the other areas of the county, it's not as visible a problem. But that doesn't mean that the people who are homeless aren't from those other areas of the county. They just come here. So that's where something we've been trying to expose. Yeah, we need to convince people that there are homeless people from Portage. They don't live in Portage anymore. They come here. But people in Portage need to know, and people in Richland and Parchment need to know that homelessness is a problem everywhere in this county.
All right. I think we got everything that we need.
Yeah.
Sweet.